What is up, everyone? This is Kaz. So today, we're gonna do a little bit of a response to Tarky Cat's video on Path of Exile's player retention ramble video, and I'll link that in the comments below. So number one thing I'd like to say about this is, no, I'm definitely not more experienced than he is at the game, but there are some points that I think we either have some differing opinions on, or I think, some points that need to be brought out a little bit more clear. So number one, I think streamers are vastly more important for than you initially bring out for this game. If it wasn't for streamers, then POE would probably be a dead game. No one is going to find out about POE. No one would even know about POE. And the reason for that is POE just simply doesn't have a multi-million-dollar advertising campaign to back it up. Doesn't have a company like Blizzard to be able to back up and fund a multi-million-dollar advertising campaign for it. It's solely run off of whatever people buy in the in-game store, as it being a free-to-play game. And the way it's designed, even though it is a visible game on Steam, I think it would be very strange and unlikely for it to even show up on your Steam recommendations because of the combination of the fact that it is an RPG and the difficulty level and its popularity at the time. Second, with the difficulty level of Path of Exile, I can imagine that there's a lot of casual gamers who will probably hit Act 5 or Act 6, hit that difficulty spike, and kind of quit. That means that they will never see the content past Act 6 if it wasn't for streamers. That means, they have the opportunity to see what's past, wherever they stopped by watching streamers play. But that also means that there's less of a incentive for the player to kind of work on the game themselves and try and get past that point at that point. And on the flip side, yeah, you're right. There are people who are going to play the game nonstop and have gotten their processes worked out so efficiently that they're able to hit Atlas and start farming within the first couple hours of the league. And while that's great, I feel that it's probably not a good idea just to come to the game and say, well, the game is ruined because there are people who can do this so much faster than I can ever do, and I'll never reach that point, so, there's no point in trying. Right, I've played the game for, half the league and I still haven't gotten my headhunter, or I just got my headhunter and now the league's ruined, or whatever, right? Path of Exile, as diverse of a game as it is, to me, it seems to offer, a multitude of ways of getting things done, and, also a multitude of ways of defining what done is. I feel that even if Zarian did find, a meta for farming, or, whatever that he's good at, there would be plenty of other ways that are, competitive with that tactic and could provide just as good of a result, if not better, depending on the league and depending on the changes in that league. Now, unfortunately, I don't agree that this is a development problem. I don't think this is really something that we need to alter the game and say, oh, well, we need to make Act 5 easier, we need to make Act 6 easier. I think that would ruin the game for too many people who have gotten past that point. I think this problem is more of a hand-holding problem, and I'll put it out there that maybe even hand-holding might not be the right term for this, but this is the best term that I have for it so far. And let me kind of explain this. So right now, after you fight Katav in Act 5, you get a minus 30 dwell resistances. Nobody tells you this. As far as I know, it's not mentioned in the game. There's no tutorial tip or anything. Nobody tells you that, oh, if you go fight Katava, you're going to get messed up. You just kind of go up to one of the Flame Totem guys in Act 6, and your health just kind of vanishes and disappears. Same thing happens at the end of Act 10, and again, as far as I can remember, there's no notification of it whatsoever. So the player really has to be conscientious of checking his stats, or going onto the online forums and asking, hey, I just beat Act 5, what's going on? And of course, if you do that, you'll see, oh, hey, guess what? Katava messed up your resistances and whatnot. There's plenty of forum posts on it. And of course, they can go to the forum post and find out how to fix that issue, where to farm, and all that kind of good stuff. But I feel that if there was something in game that actually tells you, hey, look, you're about to go fight Kitava. That's a god. If you fail, then you're gonna get messed up. Or even have an NPC dialogue between you and someone that says, hey, you just lost 30% of your resistances, right? If you continue to go with -30 or -30 in your resistances, you're probably going to get messed up. Maybe you should go and fix that resistance issue somehow, right? Maybe even if that's like a tutorial tip or something like that. When at the start of Act 6, or at that finale of Act 5, when you're kind of walking between the ships and whatnot. I think that would be something that might help that. Now, like, on the flip side, when we're finishing Act 10, it happens again, right? We get another -30 to our resistances. But at this point, people who are really serious about playing the game, we already have our builds, like, almost completed, if not already complete, right? We're just looking for the final couple pieces. And even at that point, because we've been playing Act 6 through 10, and probably level 60 through level 80 content, the gear that naturally drops at that rate already has natural resistances, and you probably already have either close to resistance cap or over resistance cap at that point, right? So I feel like at that point it's a lot easier to get to your resistance cap, and what I mean by that is, you can either do it by farming the gear that you're probably already getting anyway, or, I mean, at this point you're going to see a lot more opportunities to find stuff like bismuth flasks, or other type of flasks that will raise your resistances to the cap, or even raise the cap temporarily. This and the generally increasing difficulty of the game as you progress, fighting Chevron, fighting all the other bosses and whatnot, and seeing those kind of boss mechanics and whatnot as you go. I don't know, I feel like it forces you to learn more about the game, be more conscientious of your stats and whatnot. Whereas the first couple acts felt more of a, oh, well, we could kind of blow through a lot of this, and as long as we're doing more damage than the enemy is doing to us, then we should be fine, right? So, yeah, I feel like at the end of Act 10, even though we have the same issue, or even though we have the same event that happens, -30 resistances, it's not as big of an issue because, well, we're prepared for it because we've seen what the game has already given us and is capable of doing to us as a player. Now, I don't think that this is an issue with the pacing. I don't feel like the game should slow down before the Kitava flies, or that we need to continuously make the game faster or somehow, or something like that. I mean, that might be something fun limited to the flashback events or whatnot. I actually haven't played the flashbacks, but I feel like the core game generally needs to stay the same that it is right now. If we make the game faster, then the concepts that the game is trying to teach us, be conscientious of your stats, be wary that, your resistances might not be where you want them to be, right? Those kind of core, those core concepts could be skipped or, missed by players if you continuously speed up the game. And, if you continuously make things easier for you to get from the character creation all the way to endgame, then you're going to end up with a lot more people at endgame with builds that are, held together with 5 health potions and a lot of constant dodging around and hoping that you don't get hit. I feel like we'll end up with a lot more people at endgame that don't understand certain concepts of the game and they might have found creative ways of getting around it, using health potions or resistance potions or whatnot. But it would still severely limit them and may frustrate them. And once they continue moving through the Atlas and once they hit that brick wall and saying, oh well, I've hit this brick wall, I don't know how else to get past this. It just seems like it could be a little bit more frustrating than it is now. So, I mean, yeah, I know I've seen a lot of players quit POE because of that resistance loss after Act 5. I've personally experienced it. And, when they find out that it's a total of 60% loss by the time you hit in-game, I've seen a lot of people say, well, that's stupid, I don't like that mechanic, right, and quit playing the game altogether. And that's, that's another thing. It's like, if you don't enjoy playing the game, then I guess there's nothing that we can do to really force you to play the game. I mean, I've seen people upset at the way the skills are done at this game, and just, they absolutely refuse to play the game because you don't get to choose your skills from a spell book. You have to put gems into your socket, and that dictates how your skills work. I mean, it's something different, right? And at that point, it's like, well, if you don't like the way something is done, then there's not a lot anyone can do to change your mind. But at the same time, if you're willing to give something a try and opening your mind to something different every once in a while, then maybe you'll find that it's not that bad, right? And, like me, I was in the same position. I first downloaded POE. I got through the first, I think it was like the first beach area or something like that, learned that I needed to use skill gems to dictate what skills I had access to and what skills I was using, right? Like, well, that's kind of weird. I'm not sure if I like that. And then I looked at the passive tree, and then I didn't touch the game again for another 5 to 6 months after that. Like, I was just done at that point. And, I honestly don't know what got the idea back in my head that, hey, maybe I should give this game another try. But what I said was, maybe there's something that I'm missing, right? Maybe there's a reason for the skill tree or the skill gems or whatnot, and maybe it works more towards endgame. So, I said, okay, let's give this another try, and I forced myself to say, hey, I'm going to give this a try, I'm going to level a character, and I'm going to at least get through Act 6 or 7, right? Because that's, that's where, from what I read, was the meat of the game, right? And now, after, forcing myself to kind of go through that kind of exercise, I feel that, I can truly respect the game for the design choices that it's made and enjoy the game for what it is, right? And, I understand now that it's not a Diablo clone. It has nothing to do with Diablo. It's completely different. The setup and everything is just a completely different game when you try and compare it to a game like Diablo. So, all in all, I don't think that the solution is to get people to endgame faster or even more easily. I think it's really more of an education standpoint. And maybe that's the responsibility of the streamers, is to teach people, hey, PoE is a hard game. It's like Dark Souls for Diablo 3, or, the Diablo 3 version of Dark Souls or whatever. And maybe that's our responsibility, to teach people that you can't just blow through the game the first time and then expect the difficulty to just continue to go up. And to teach people that the difficulty is going to go up as you play the game, and expect it to jump drastically before you even hit endgame, right? And maybe that's what we need, is more streamers to focus on the first 10 acts of the game and not just blowing through the Atlas, going through these maps and whatnot. And maybe as a content producer for Path of Exile, maybe that's something that I can provide. Let me know what you think about some of the thoughts I shared in this video. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but maybe I have a point. And I hope that, like, if I'm right about this, and if a lot of people agree with this, then I'm very much willing to go through and say, hey, well, let's stream creating a new character and going through the first 3 or 4 acts and saying, well, this is what we're looking for in terms of how do we get through these first couple acts, and then having that as a reference, maybe we can draw more people into the game, and as normal, as if we draw more people into the game, as long as there's an interest in the game, then the streamers will come. Anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and I'll see y'all next time.